So as you develop a tolerance, there becomes a greater likelihood of developing a dependence. Additionally, as tolerance develops, you will need to take more of a drug to produce previous effects. In certain cases of drugs that are a little bit more dangerous to take, that includes things like alcohol, that includes things like heroin. One of the things that we will tend to find is that increasing tolerance leads to a greater likelihood of developing an overdose as you are taking more of a drug to have that same effect. So let's going backwards here. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few different types of drugs. Now, I want to really impress upon you that some of these categories are incredibly broad. I have included marijuana as a hallucinogen in this case, not because it actually produces hallucinations, but because, by and large, it is neither a stimulant nor a depressant. If you want to be technical, it is something called a cannabinoid. But I'm not really going to get into too much detail about each of these. So generally, depressants are drugs that calm neural activity and slow down body function. That will include things like alcohol, that will include things like barbiturates, and that will include things like opiates and opioids. So these are designed to kind of slow you down and calm you and relax you. And in particular, it's these kind of drugs that can be incredibly dangerous if you go through a period of withdrawal. In general, withdrawal effects will be the opposite effect of the drug itself. So what we often tend to find is for depressants, what will tend to happen is that the withdrawal effects will usually include things like increased heart rate to the point of tachycardia, increased blood pressure, and generally, the effects are incredibly unpleasant. One of the things that you also have to watch out for each of these is because these are depressants, overdose will often happen because they depress the respiratory centers of the brain. So most people, if they die from taking things like alcohol or barbiturates or opioids, is because they have taken so much that the respiratory centers of their brain are no longer able to function and people basically stop breathing. Stimulants are a little bit different. Stimulants are drugs that will excite neural activity and speed up body functions. All of the following are stimulants, even though they work on a variety of different neurotransmitters. So that will include things like caffeine, nicotine, cocaine, ecstasy, methamphetamine, as well as amphetamine. Hallucinogens are typically the least addictive. Typically, they do not produce withdrawal effects or craving effects or really a dependency of any kind. They typically will distort perception and evoke sensations like hallucinations with no input. Although if you're having hallucinations with marijuana, you were probably not actually taking marijuana because typically hallucinations are not produced with that drug. That will include drugs like LSD, which heightens your sense of perception, marijuana, and psychotropic mushrooms. So that's really all I had. Hopefully you find this pretty helpful, and I will see you at the review session tomorrow night, folks. Bye.